this kind of neat. I mean, my kids are not, they're doing a lot of these across the age, but then I really would like to, at fifth grade level, start to get them into text-based, and I also learned that, which last year we kind of introduced our kids to this. But yesterday I saw a personal brain it's pretty easy and it's step by step where that could be used. And then this is also yeah, we have laptops on the iPads. I don't have Chromebooks because I don't have laptops that are older than anything. No, working work. That's a really good one because Cindy is speaking on
started. Like I said, I don't want to be the person that keeps you from lunch, so we'll try to hustle it. I'm Kathy Gilner. I'm a computer science teacher, which was a former English elementary early childhood to English language arts to reading. So, you know, clearly the logical flow is to have me teaching computer science right now. And if you want that story, that would be another hour session. But I teach computer science at Dorseyville Middle School in Fox Chapel. And I'll get into that in a second. So the presentation that I'm going to be sharing with you, get it. And if you want to take notes on it, it's all Google Slides. Make a file, make a copy, and then in the speaker notes, just start hammering away your notes. There are about 6 to 12 million hyperlinks in here. No, I'm just kidding. But I did put anything I could hyperlink to help you find more information. This thing has it. So, and I'm not gonna, like, clearly you can watch a YouTube video on your own about Bebot, but everything's in there. So I wanted you to have all that information. So please, 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 please. And if you wanna take notes along today, just go up to File, make a copy. Or, you know, if I, don't have the settings right, you can really mess with my presentation as we're going and really, make it really short. Everyone good? Anyone need more time? Okay. There's a table of contents that are hyperlinked. So we're going to go over the elementary, middle, and high school programs. High school's not as, high school's high school. We'll talk about what that offers. And then the table of contents will actually take you down to, if you don't feel like scrolling, you can click a hyperlink. The objectives of this session I'm going to put on here because you're going to fill out a form on me later on and it's going to ask me if I showed you the objectives, and I did. So the objectives are here. The agenda, I'm going to obviously discuss the elementary, middle, and high school. We'll have a little Q&A. This is supposed to be an interactive session, which this room isn't very conducive to an interactive session, so I think we're just going to kind of be a session, and if we have explore time, I can show you some things and answer your questions as well. So one thing I want you to be thinking about right now is at schools, and I'm just curious, how many elementary people do we have in the room? All right, a lot of elementary. How many middle school? You were the ones that are going to laugh inappropriately when I say words like dongle or things like that. Okay, and how many high school people? All right, how many people teach like elementary or middle, like do like a conglomerate of both? Okay, tech directors, admin. Okay, your hands like up, like you're teaching, you're an admin, you got it all going on. Okay, so the class of 20, we're right now at school. We have the class of 20 to the class of 32 that we're teaching. Think about that. Okay. And the class of 20 is kind of dead to us, let's be honest. I mean, like, they're you know, like, there's not a whole lot we can do for them at this point. But let's focus on 21 through 32, okay? And what's one skill you'd like to see students graduate with? Just think about it for the next 10 seconds. Anyone want to share? What do you want to see kids be able to do whenever they graduate 20 through 32? Somebody scream it out.
Problem solving.
Problem solving, okay? Something else?
Cooperation.
Cooperation. Anybody? Nothing? Bueller? Creativity. I'm guessing in your thought process here, no one said GPA 4.0. I want them to leave school with a GPA of a 4.0. I want them to leave school knowing the history of the Civil War, backwards, forwards, inside out. I want them to leave here with all this content that they could probably just Google anyway. Okay. Now, if you're gonna switch or you're gonna try to implement a computer science program, something's gotta go. Something's gotta go. And that's a tough conversation because even if you're gonna push it into, for elementaries, that's normally a specials time. Okay, something's gotta go there. So what goes? Are we not teaching word processing skills? Are we not teaching the big bad K word, keyboarding? Okay, like what's going? Like what are we taking off of like the charge? School's not getting any longer. It might be starting later in some districts, but it's definitely not getting any, like they just keep adding more. Okay. So it's a conversation you need to have with parents because the conversations I have with parents, as much as they're for this, they still want school to look the way it was when they went to school. So yeah, this is cool and this is great, but I also learned cursive writing and I also learned how to type. Where's that? And I learned this and I learned that. And you know, we can say, well, kids are digital natives and they can, you know, but it's a give and take and you're gonna get some backlash when those skills that parents wanna see, or even administrators or other teachers wanna see, it's a conversation, okay? So a great way to start that conversation out is, hey, what do you want kids in the class of 20 to 32 to get out of this? Get out of like, not just computer science, but to get out of leaving this entire entity. Like, what do you want them to do? Okay, and these are the things I think of, and I'm sorry, it's like not trying to be cutesy with all these C's, but there's a lot of things in here that you can accomplish really with any kind of content, but definitely with computer science. It does require kids to have to problem solve together. If you're just gonna load them onto computers and individually like have them work through puzzles, you're not gonna get the result. We're at school the way school looked, okay? So, they're tough conversations to have. So, I teach at the middle school. This is our elementary. I just wanna kind of give you a little bit of background about us. We have 4 elementary schools. Kerr is our brand, they imploded it. So we have a brand new elementary school there. That is our Title I school. So I know people think if you're from the Pittsburgh area and you hear the Fox Chapel word, but Kerr is an actual Title I school. Fox Chapel does have a rather, even though shocking, diverse population of students. So we have 1 Title I school and the 3 others. Kids go to computer class 1 day a week. So in actuality, it's not that much when you think about it. They're getting between 33 to 36 classes, and feel bad for the kids that have class on Monday because they always miss. For 40 minutes, depending on building, 4 teachers per building, and they teach K through 5. In addition to computer science, they get digital citizenship and keyboard awareness and some keyboarding. So keyboard awareness. We can talk about kindergarten, and where's the mouse, where's this. Keyboarding in general, like we also have somewhat band-aided solution for that. We also have a STEAM time, which is separate from their actual special. So we have a STEAM time that the kids go to. It's part of their science curriculum. There's design challenges. We have a mobile fab lab, and I'll talk a little bit more about that because it is combined. So our first thing that we do use in the elementary is code.org, okay? And I would tend to tell you you need to stick to the tried and true things, okay? And what I mean by the tried and true things are you need some form of a platform for kids to be on. Don't try to recreate that wheel, okay? So you need something that's, I hate this word, vetted. You need something that allows kids to get on and it's going to work. And you need something that is age appropriate, okay? There's a lot of free stuff out there, okay? We have chosen code.org, not explicitly all of the lessons, but at least there is at least if you're not even there one day, you can put the kids on it. But you need something that's tried and true. Code.org does a phenomenal job. They also offer tons and tons of professional development workshops. If you're interested in that, I would highly recommend doing it. They're normally free. All right, so let's look at kindergarten. And our kindergarten so we do the course A in code.org. They also use what's called a BBOT, okay, which most of you are shaking your head. A lot of kindergarten is unplugged and block-based. So they do unplugged, like they blindfolded doing this. And then just to give you the idea, it's all done in the computer lab, and kids are on computers and kids are like running on stations on the floor as well, okay? If you're interested in any of the videos, that's the videos for anything that's hyperlinked in there. So what does course A and all of these give you? Course A basically is going to do, there is digital citizenship lessons already plugged in, kind of stuffed into code.org. I don't think they're that all encompassing. So if you are in charge of digital citizenship, I think common sense is really the way to go. It has it there, the kids like it. The things here are more kind of applicable to copyright and more so copyright than anything. And I feel like there's a lot more things that we need to, that basically ingrain in kids, especially the younger the better, okay? So you can watch that. Let's look at first grade. First grade, same thing, they have the course B, like you're gonna obviously see that they go all the way up. I will tell you, our teachers do not get through, like if each one has 16 to 18 lessons, they might get through half of everything that they're offering in there as well. Inside of our computer time, we have a mobile fab lab. I'm going to put a video on and just talk through it. I'm not going to have you watch it. I'm going to show you the Puzzlets that you can come down and look at later. What course B looks at. And I'm just going to play this where there's not going to be sound. So one thing we kind of want to highlight with what we do at Fox Chapel is we don't just want computer science to just be this thing. Like we don't, like there's the idea of making. So our high school students actually designed their own mobile fab lab, which they built a tiny house, and they got money through the Grable Foundation, and they also received money through, I want to say Busy Beaver. So that is our mobile fab lab that travels to all of the elementary schools. So basically, he is a tech ed teacher at the high school. Okay, and we have our fab lab at our high school where we have the Glow Forge and we have 3D printers and we have all of these really great things. So what we do is we bring these things to the elementary to get kids understanding of the engineering and design process. So this video also entails the kids that actually built this, but then you're going to see what the design challenges and things that they have kids doing. Because we want kids not to just like feel like, oh, I'm going to sit at a computer and there's, we do a bunch of puzzles and that's it. Okay, you have to understand that there's a making conglomerate to it, that there's you need some kind of buzzer or bell or something to ding for kids to be really, really excited about. So along with the making part, there's engineering and design challenges that are going on. So they're kind of moving through these stations. So like, I'm sure you've probably done some kind of marshmallow challenge, but that's a station for kids because obviously no one in their right mind is gonna have 28 kids silk screening a shirt at the same time. That's a nightmare. They're not gonna have kids making those toolbox handles. But the design challenge was to like build something to like clean up a desk, okay? But it's those things that are actually getting our kids understanding and excited for the middle school and the high school programs and the things that we offer there. So you can see like the kids, like each grade level focuses on something. One year one grade level focuses on silk screening shirts, one grade level focuses on actually making, which we have kids that have never, like my fifth graders that have never touched a hammer, that have never measured anything, okay? Never have sanded something. So all of these things are really, really great that we're getting that mobile fabrication piece out for kids to be doing and excited about. Because when you get into electives later on, especially when you're running a lot of AP courses, kids aren't taking these things because they're packing their schedules with 2 maths, 2 sciences, like all of these things. And there's a lot of gaps, and we're noticing we're living in a society where we have a lot of people that can't fix things, build things, and make things. And it's only gonna get worse unless we start to really, really hammer this in. So you can see like we have the computers outside where the kids are 3D printing. So this is, and then they have all of these extra like workspaces that we bring out so that the kids can start and obviously start building as they're going, which is a nice high school to elementary. And we do bring the mobile fab lab to other schools and other school districts throughout the year, depending on grades. So the cork boats, everything is like in there. So it's just a very nice program that we offer that allows our students to see the building part. So something we do have are the Puzzlets, and that's one of our. If you can get past the annoyingness of this guy, because I'm going to turn him on. And he's going to, yeah. My other thing about it is, don't fall in love with stuff. So don't make your program be about, we do Puzzlets, and with Puzzlets we have to have, because there's going to be a point where this could go under like none other, okay? Puzzlets are from Digital Dream Labs. I don't believe they're here. I looked them up. I don't think they are here today, but they are a Pittsburgh-based company, and they'll work with you. But it's bringing the concrete to life. So our kids can put these in. There's all kinds of little puzzles in there, and then Dash will do what you're asking Dash to do. Things I like about this, the connectivity is super easy. All you gotta do is turn this on, have it near Dash. Dash will illuminate and make a sound. He's already reading it, and the kids just need the one play button in here. Things to be cautious about, having a bunch of these things, okay, and connectivity between Bluetooth. So what I would recommend is, obviously this is a station and this is a growing station. So you start out with the whole class. This is how you do this. This is how you connect this. You have like your little posters on the floor so the kids know what they're doing. And you do need to make sure that you can have many going on at the same time. You don't have to. I always kind of recommend, if you're using this Puzzlet board with this Dash, mark this, put a 1, put a 1. Just because make your life, like the more you label, like if I wasn't a teacher, I would just organize things to death. Like I could sit there and put Post-it notes in rainbow order all day long. But if you don't have a system, your kindergartners are your first graders are gonna tear this up, okay? So you want something that's usable, you want something that's to be label-based, and even though it says it's not gonna, the biggest nightmare is like when you have a kid here and it's running that one back there. So keep your things, always get a couple tech, I don't care how old they are, have tech support in every single classroom. Have kids that are your tech people that you can teach how to solve problems and, make them do it, okay? Because when you're trying to run, like, logging kindergartners in is its own beast and fury, but after, like, so if you've lived through that, but if you can't get kids, like, to help you, that 40 minutes is gonna go, and you're gonna be like, I feel like we actually reversed back in learning on there. So that is up here, and that is something that the kids can do. Second grade is basically kind of the same thing, except we do introduce the hummingbirds in second grade. Has everyone heard of a hummingbird? Hummingbird, they're here if you want to go down and visit them. It's a microbot or microbit computer chip. It runs super easy for kids to kind of get things with motors and lights, and because you need that excitement. You need to plug something in here to make something light up there to make kids excited about this. We actually use Argiblock as the coding, and I'll show you some screenshots of Argiblock, just so you get like what that entails. There's also a smidgen of code.org level C. Here are the block-based. What I like about Argiblock, and hummingbirds can run like through anything. They can run through Python all the way down to block-based. And there's several options. They can do Scratch, they can do Snap, they can do anything. But what I like about it is it's super visual for kids. So they can actually see, oh, this is supposed to light up, and this is supposed to do this, and this is, so they're pulling, and all those Boolean expressions are right there, which they can pull in pretty super slick. So here's a servo motor, it's in a loop, they know what it's gonna do, here's their Boolean, okay? Our third grade, they do a makey experiment. Makey, they've been around a while. With that, they use Scratch, okay? And code.org level D. Our fourth graders, they actually do a 3D printed design. Our computer labs have Glowforges and 3D printers. So the kids do take on a Tinkercad, along with doing Course E. So
I was going to ask you how many students do you have using the 3D printers, and how long? I know we have one 3D printer,
which is a bummer, yeah. And it's hard. So they design like a keychain, so it's nothing that's going to be like a huge print.
Okay.
Like we're not designing like huge things. They design it, and you have kids working in teams, like they're designing their own, but they kind of work in groups. Once those 4 are printed, they go back onto code.org, you grab the next 4. So it takes an extensive, like it's a year, like that's a year-long project. I'm like, unfortunately, that's why you need something like sound and true, like why you need code.org in those lessons, because you need the other kids doing, I don't want to say something else, but something a little bit different, because 23 kids looking at a 3D printer gets really old really fast. And you're gonna lose them. That's just the video on that. Our 5th grade does a big extensive hummingbird project with the art teacher. So their project is, and each building has kind of taken this onto their own. Some do it like with pop art, some do it with their environmental experiences, because we have like parks the kids have to go through each year, like a salamander park, or so each one has like their own kind of spin on it. You can look at these kids. These kids right now are 7th graders. Just trying to speed it up. It wasn't liking that. just so you can see. So they did like theirs was based off of art projects that they were doing. So these aren't, and like this year, one of our schools is going to base theirs off of carnival games. Another school is basing theirs off of an art project, like pop art. And they have certain like aspects. They have to have one LED light, one servo motor. And we're noticing that they're getting a lot better. Just because now that they've had that second grade experience. So we've had like, you know, you're starting to see as the kids are kind of the ones that started this in first grade are moving their way up. And so they're just kind of interviewing the kids, and this is like what they kind of came up with. You know, you can see very kid-based. And it was, a lot of that was done, the art part was done in art class, and the computer science part was obviously done in computer science class. For fifth graders, and they were working in about teams of 3, okay, which is tough. Like, how many people have worked with hummingbirds? Okay, when you work with hummingbirds, like, you have to store them, and you can't, like, it's an ongoing project. So if you're like a neat freak, it's really, like, you have to have a place for everything, and you have to have the dedication. So a lot of times, like, the planning piece is the biggest part for our kids as well. I just put some more screenshots in here on what the RG block looks like and what they do. So our middle school is 6 through 8. We are also a Title I middle school as well. So our kids get the experience of elementary school K through 5 of every day, not every day, one day per week, about 40 minutes. With our middle school schedule, we have in 6th and 7th, we have a one block of 9 weeks, so daily for 42 minutes. And then I'll talk about 8th in a second. We have 2 teachers teaching it. So our one-to-one program is a little convoluted in our district. So when the kids come in 6th grade, they all get an iPad. And we're one-to-one with iPads. And when they leave in 8th grade, they turn in their iPad and we're no longer one-to-one. So we're like a 3-year one-to-one project. Whatever. All right, so we created a course called Mobile Device. Actually, I created a course called Mobile Device because we had a lot of backlash in the beginning about teachers saying, like, kids don't know how to use the iPad, kids don't know how to use the iPad. That's when I was a reading English language arts teacher. And then my principal said, hey, we're not gonna teach keyboarding anymore. You're gonna design a course that's gonna teach kids to get them mobily acclimated. So the course is designed into 3 parts, and it's kind of evolved a little bit. So the first part is mobile application, which is, how do I use this instead of an Xbox? Or what I say is, like, how do I use this for good and not evil? And basically, how do you maneuver through Schoology? How do you maneuver through an online discussion board? And what are the expectations? And showing them a barrage of like different ways they can, you know, create with their iPad for projects. Okay. The second part of that course is digital branding, which we spend so each one's about 3 weeks. We spend 3 weeks really going through digital citizenship and designing video games around digital citizenship. And our third and final week is all coding on our iPads. So we code through Swift Playgrounds. It's the Apple-based one. And we use the Parrot drones. That's our thing with it. I can throw it up there in a second, or at the end, just so you can see it. So we do the drones during that. But that's our 6th grade program. Our 7th grade program now goes back to code.org. And we're on computers in 7th grade. In our 7th grade program, so let me just go through 6 a second. So this is what Swift looks like. Swift is kind of the change between block to text-based. So you still have those options down here, or you can still type. But it does have that look. And if you're not familiar with what Swift is, Apple's, I'm sure, doing a couple presentations on it. They have the extensive everyone can code curriculum all right there. It's not the greatest. I'd give it about a B-, C+. Okay. They've gotten better at it. They're still not there. Okay. They have the teacher guides, all of that, but it's Apple-based. It's like the downloads are like a little bit crazy. They have a full scope and sequence of curriculum. And then here is the kids flying some of the drones. So that's the code. over the noise of the drones, but they are coding straight from their iPad. I haven't gotten fired yet. No one's lost a finger. The pair drones, they're pretty, if you've used these, they're pretty versatile. I've had them crash any which way you could imagine them crashing, and they're fine. The biggest are the draining of the batteries, and I make the kids wear eye gear, just, because I like them and I don't want them to get hit in the eye. If one does go out of control, I can grab it. It's going to leave a red welt, but it's not going to take off their finger. Okay, so these aren't as dangerous as they, for a drone, but it does make some nice conversation, just because you can at least get kids talking about what drones are used for, the controversy of drones, and what that's going through. I will say this is all puzzle based on an iPad. Never do puzzles more than 2 days in a row. I don't care what grade you're teaching. It's hard. Kids, they need something else. You got to mix it up a little bit. For kids to sit there and do these puzzles, and at first they're excited, and then they're like, okay. So that's when we'll do a lesson on loops, and we'll get through that. The next day they might be doing the next lesson, and then I have something completely, we might be looking at the code in actual images, okay? If you're a BrainPop, anyone have BrainPop subscriptions around here? Okay, there is coding on BrainPop that's free, and it's content-based. It is Scratch-based and VidCode-based. So if you're trying to get your content teachers to do some coding, if you introduce that, you can actually have that. And they're here if you want to stop down and talk to them as well. So 7th grade, we use a smattering. Now 7th grade goes on CS Discos, which is Code.org's middle school program. There are 6 units. Now, there's no way in 9 weeks you can get through 6 units. So then you got to pick and choose. Okay. Unit 1 is all problem solving, and that is all basically unplugged activities. So 1, 2, and 3 are all about me. Basically, when you're a middle schooler, that's really not that hard of a concept, because the world only revolves around you when you're in middle school. So Unit 1 is basically proposing an app. We don't do that. We kind of do a couple smattering of the problem solving. We go into input, output, and what makes up a computer are the basic things that we look at. There's a lot of unplugged and a lot of worksheets that go with this. And if you have taught basically any student or a middle school student, a worksheet is the kiss of death. They're not gonna wanna do it. So I basically make the worksheet slideshows and give them chalk markers and have them write on the tables, and they have no idea they're actually doing the worksheet, but they're doing it on the table and they're way happier. So it's all in presentation. So something to be mindful of with middle schools, there is a lot of, here's another worksheet on input, output. I just took all the cards, laminated them, and the kids work that way, and they're much happier. And I get much better results. They take a picture of the results with their iPad. Unit 2 in NCS Discos is designing your own website, and you learn the HTML code. We don't do that one. Unit 3 is interactive animations and games. It's game design. We do this one. 4, 5, and 6, if you're interested. 4 is designing an app. 5 is looking at big data and coding from that. So it's kind of oh my gosh, there's a world around you and what that world does. So using information of others to kind of help you design something. In Unit 6, you actually go into a microbit. And you're actually coding to light something up. So you do need the microbits. They're not that expensive, but Code.org offers them at a discount price. And I think if you're 40% free and reduced, I think they'll give them to you for free. What's nice about Code.org is what's not nice about Code.org. If you're ever in there, it's a little overwhelming. And if you want to start Code.org, make sure you get your account verified so that you actually have the answer keys. So you have to so you can think you have all this stuff and you don't, okay? So you do need to get your account verified. It usually takes like 2 to 3 days. Same with Scratch. Get an educator account. You might think you have an educator account. If you never had it verified, you probably don't. Scratch is a pretty big party. There's a lot on Scratch. There's Scratch and Snap. Scratch is from the East Coast. It's from, East Coast, MIT. Snap is the West Coast, kind of like East Coast, West Coast rap battle. Snap is from Berkeley in California, and they're both kind of vying for the same thing. For some reason, Scratch kind of has this like party like mentality, and people have pushed the bounds of Scratch. Like people have done things in Scratch that no one could have, like adults, that can do. Snap kind of has this like more, I don't want to say refined, but it just doesn't have what people are doing on Scratch. But they've actually come around with it, like, Mitch Resnick, the guy that invented Scratch, he just wanted this big open source. He has this book, Lifelong Kindergarten. It's a really, really good read. I read it, he signed it. If someone wants, like, if you want to read it, it's not doing me any good on my bookshelf. If you come up here at the end, you can certainly have it. It's not, if you're a Seinfeld fan, this book is not flagged. I only read it on an airplane, so it wasn't ever in the bathroom. So if you want this, please help yourself to it. But in Scratch now, there's a lot of teacher tutorials. Because I think the one thing that was super overwhelming for teachers was, I don't know what I'm doing in here, and there's just massive amounts of code blocks everywhere, and I don't know what I'm doing. How am I supposed to help kids with this? Code.org offers a lot of teacher resources, but if you don't have them, or if you're not verified, it's not going to show up. So inside my account, this is what the kids are seeing, but I can go to view lesson plan, and it's going to give me all my objectives. Down below, it's going to give me all the CSTA computer standards for my lesson plans. It basically tells you what to say, when to say it, how to say it. You're never going to have enough time to get through all this. But then inside each of here, you have your unit overview, your lesson overview. There's a lesson forum if you have trouble. CS for Entertainment exemplars. And then when you start clicking, you're finding more and more things. And I will I can't tell you how many times I'm like, how did I get to this point? You found something and then you can't find it again. So there's just a lot in here for kids to, for you as the adult, and it's a little overwhelming. So for Unit 3, there are 22 lessons. They have it mapped out to about 6 weeks. Takes at least 7. But they're pretty good about saying, they're pretty good about saying, but then you also have kids that, what do you do when this kid's absent, and you have this. So there's some bumps in the road that you have to kind of get yourself acclimated to. There's 2 chapters in every unit. The first chapter is the top row. It takes them to an interactive card. The second row from 15 through 22 is them designing a game. Like I said, everything is right in here, but what kids can see and what you can see are obviously a bit different. So for kids, they're going to go on. Now, something I'm not a huge fan of is that kids can just tap through everything and there's no kind of accountability until you as the teacher can. Now, you as the teacher, I can go off to the side here and I can see kids' work. So I can click on a student, I can click on their code, and I can see that that they did it. That's annoying. That's about 45 bazillion clicks. There are the ones in purple are ones that you give feedback to, but there's some nuances here that you kind of have to work past that you might not really truly enjoy. And you really have to be on kids, because when they don't understand it, they're not going to ask you for help, they're going to click. So you might have a kid that's like, I'm done. And you're like, really? And they're not. I'm very much of a, when we go through sprites, I'm walking them through sprites. I might let them go up 3 and I'm walking around the room. My counterpart's very different. She kind of lets them go. So we have two very, very different styles of teaching. Now, I usually find in a class I'll have 2 to 3 kids that I can just see this is way like below them. They've gone to the coding camps, they've gone here, and I let them go. And they just keep going, and they have their ways of doing things. I also created a course on Schoology for my kids that walks them through it took a while, but walks them through every single lesson that we have. So, for instance, all of the lessons are right here. So if they open up lesson 8, that was a bad example. If they open up lesson 12 on keyboard input, I have right here like all of the directions, but then I have this. I actually have like me walking them through that particular lesson in like a step guide. Now I did that with every single lesson. That took me forever, but it was at least a way to get them. And if you never saw an IRAD before, they are like the most amazing thing. So it's just it's an add-on on your Google Chrome, but it's like if you've ever seen these step guides, that's what these are. So it tells them to click control. They're not actually in code.org, but it's actually telling them where to drop things and what they need to do. So they can walk through these, and it's going to say like, and then you click here, and then you would take one of these and drag. So they can walk through these little step guides if they get stuck along the way. This has really, really tremendously helped me get kids to understand. Like, so if they click on here, it's showing them what they need to do and put a variable in there. And
what's the name of that add-on?
IORAD, IORAD. So if you ever make step guides for anything, okay, you are limited on the amount that you can do unless you have it like, and it's a little. They have an educator price, but I would say it's definitely worth it if you make a lot of step guides. Because to make a step guide is just you going like everything I clicked, it made all that. I didn't have to like do any of that. So it's definitely a time saver. So for this, those are just some unplugged activities. These are the designs that kids have made. Like I said, I let them do it on the table. They're way happier. It's not like doing it on a piece of paper. They take pictures of it, and then they're good to go. These are just 2 examples. I'm not going to play them right now, but if you hyperlink on here, these are 2 examples of what my kids, games that my kids designed last semester, last 9 weeks, Cat Simulator and the LSU game. And I won't say this is like their favorite class. Like, this is hard. They, like it's not family and consumer science. They're not like, like they're working, and it's like a lot of lessons and text, and like, it's not gym class, like, which is like their other thing that they're going to. So I will say, like, I know this isn't your favorite thing in the world, but it is something that, like organic. My room is, we use laptops like I have here. The other room is like a lab. My kids are pretty much a lot freer to roam around and get help from one another. And that's kind of how I run my classroom on that. I have also taken the time, I have step guides along the side of my wall where like the things that I knew kids were having like a little bit of trouble with, I designed those and made those. Our 8th grade is a elective base, so up until 7th, everyone's taking this. In 8th grade, we offer 2 Python courses. This is the first year we've ever done this. So we have an intro to Python and then Python. I teach this one, but I'm talking about this one first. Our intro course is based off of South Fayette's course, which they do with their 8th grade. So if you really want the information or the materials from it, if you click on that South Fayette curriculum, it's not going to give you the curriculum, it's going to give you last year's link to their summer institute. I think that's the wrong name. Michelle, what's that called? Is it the Summer Institute or? Okay, it's their summer institute that they do. Lynette runs it. She runs the 8th grade course there, and it's based off of the Martian movie. So the kids are actually doing a syntax-based program. They use the IDE of Paizo, They also use turtle graphics. They also use some of the Python that I use in my course, because our course goes a little bit longer than theirs. The kids in 8th grade go every other day for a semester. So they get about 45 days of this elective class. So the kids watch the trailer, minus the one swear word, from the Martian movie, and they have to keep, like, so the idea is they're stranded on Mars, and they have to keep communicating back to Earth. So they have to do, like, these kinds of, like, activities each class and submit those in. So, like, saying their age, how old are you, things like that. The input and variables, like, as they're corresponding back from Mars to Earth, trying to save themselves in what they're doing. They also do work with the Finch robots with Python. Finch is like the other counterpart of the hummingbirds, just uglier. I call that like their electric car. And there's you can go down and see it. They actually have a non-tethered version of it as well, that's coming out. So they have like certain activities they have to do, like they're pretending they're farming, so the finch has to go into a tunnel and do something there as well. Our other course that we offer is a Python course, and the kids that can take this have to have completed algebra by 8th grade. And we have a lot of kids that actually have accomplished that test. And if they want to take this course, it's CMU CS Academy course, and it's a high school based course. So Aaron Crawley, who used to be at Avonworth, left Avonworth and is now at CMU. CMU students decided to, one of their professors, David Crosby, asked his students one day, you know, like, how many people liked the coding they learned in high school? And none of them, like, enjoyed it. So he wanted to know, like, well, why did you hate it? And, you know, that they thought what they learned was K through 8 was all about, you know, Puzzlets and drones, and, you know, like, there was all this bling and blang. And 9th grade was either fun or dry, and that's when they were noticing enrollment, like, was declining. And 11th grade is very syntax based and very, very boring, and college work was like 100, you know, like all this crazy, you know, what was going on and like what they have to do. So they wanted to kind of basically bridge that gap. So they created a CS Academy. Now there is a CS Academy. This is CS Academy 1 that I'm doing with my kids. They offer a CS Academy 0 for middle school kids, which is like a 4-unit. I'm still moving my kids through the actual high school computer science curriculum. It is entirely free. So if you are looking for a Python course, and here's all the things that it offers. It's Python programming, it's graphics and animation based, it's browser based. So our other one is tough because it's out of Paizo, which is an IDE. So they're running it on the computer. So if you want to score that as a teacher, or just not, and I use the score arbitrarily. I'm just saying if you want to look at their code, they have to download that and upload that into a Google Drive, so as a teacher you can see that because it's not online. This is an actual browser-based environment. It is CMU's graphics package though, so like I couldn't take the intro course and jam it into this as their IDE. It's not going to work. There's interactive notes included, auto-graded exercises. Okay. And kids can't click through it. There's also anti-plagiarism features. So they can't copy and paste the code from one into the other. It busts them. So these are the people that invented it. This is a student of mine walking you through it. If you are interested in the CMU CS Academy, grab this link and you can get signed up, or you can, like, it's free. Okay. What's nice about it is what students wanted was a very graphics-based package. So when I go on, and I'm in it right now, the course here is like the courses that they offer. They're also currently piloting right now a CS principles course for students to take the AP test. That'll be completely out there next year. Some schools around here are piloting. They also have it really well designed that you can go into it at different levels. If you're like, so if you're a high school student and you took this, but you only took it for a semester, you're halfway there. So you can go in halfway through the the principal's course. But they also have it that if you haven't done this at all, you can start at the beginning. So they kind of have it meshed well for like kids, like the different entry points. For me, this is what it like. So the units go straight down, and I can look at my period 5B right now. I can also say what they can see and what they can't see. So you can't have like a kid go home and be like, I finished it, all 12 units. You can turn on or turn off things. I can see progress of what kids are doing right here. I can see which ones they opened and which ones, and they don't have to do them all. So there's so many points per one that they have to accomplish. The biggest thing is at the end they have to complete a creative task, which for me when I first did it, I was like, oh, we're just gonna skip the creative task, like who cares? And the professor, David Cosby, he's like, no, that's the most important part. This is what we're doing. So here are, now remember my kids are middle school kids taking a high school course, and this is their first go round. So here's his code and this is just learning like rectangles and shapes. And this is his first, that's his design, and that's like what they've coded. Now, you can see on there what other kids have done. I'm looking at, they have comments, they're using gradients, all of that right there. And I can go through that, but the kids they can't move on. So when they're in a particular course, they can't move, like they can't see 21.6 until they've completed 21.5. It will not open for them. So the grade book for me will look like, it'll tell me who's accomplished. So the progress kind of just gives me an idea of which one they've opened. This tells me how many points they've gotten in each area. It also has quizzes and tests already done and designed per unit. I can like open them up or close them up. There's also a ton of teaching resources right here. Kahoot's already made. Okay, like they've kind of thought of everything here, and it's free, and it's gonna stay free, because and the beautiful thing is when I'm confused or like my kid codes something and I can't fix it, I just send it off to CMU, and there's a team of computer science, CMU computer science majors. There's a team of them that respond within like usually 10 to 15 minutes, because that's what they're getting paid for. And they're super helpful. Okay, and these are the kids that basically they came up with this course because they said we hated learning computer science. So if it was animation based, it like gives them that freedom of creativity. They're doing, all of these like very animated, or like, so here for this one, they're learning, but then there's test cases, because like on hits, like they've changed the code so that it turns blue, it turns purple. For the teacher, I have this sample solution, thank God, that's right here that I can like work, I'm getting much better at it, but like, I can look at code now and be like, oh, that's what it is. But before I had like my computer open, their computer open, trying to work through things. So, and these are not blank slates. Like whenever they start out, like some of the stuff is already there, but you can see like here's their canvas versus what the solution should be. So it's a toggle back and forth of like what they need to do. The kids, obviously there's a level of like superior pride of like, I'm in high school or I'm in middle school and I'm taking a Carnegie Mellon University-based course. My kids probably because we were only doing it for 45 days, got through the first 4 units. I have a couple, because we just started the new semester, I have a couple that are gang busters, like they're gonna prove it, like they're gonna get through at least half of this course. So I already have like two or three kids that are already on unit 3, because they're cranking it out at home, which is great. And I told the kids I'm gonna leave it open all summer long, so if they still wanna work on it. But my kids are like the coders. My kids are gonna be the ones that are gonna go to Carnegie Mellon University. I would say it's tough unless like these are the kids that are going to the camps to do this in middle school. It definitely is a high school based course, but you can just go, if you sign up, there's that CS0, and it's just a scaled down version, but very, very, very similar. Notes are still there, so they have to go through these notes with these checkpoints that they have to code and they can't move on. So it's very, very scalable and very, very easy to kind of implement. CMU also offers in the summer, like right kind of when you're leaving school, they have a few day training workshop that's free. They just don't offer you lodging, but they feed you really well and they give you free parking, which is a true highlight. Our high school, Fox Chapel Area High School, there's the curriculum guide there. Just to kind of give you the scope of it, our high school works on blocks. So it's kind of like going to college. So the kids only have to take 4 classes. The classes are 80 minutes long. Our computer courses are taught by business department, math department, and technology department teachers. Courses are all elective based. There are clubs and activities. If you have students, we have an FC Hacks coming up. It's on a Saturday. You're welcome to bring teams of students, or they're welcome to come on their own. The link is there. I just put basically what we offer for kids. So we have computer CS advanced placement available to kids in 9, 10, 11, and 12. They must have taken, now, we haven't had the Python here yet, so there's that kind of like robot. This is the tougher course that we offer. It does get them ready for the computer science test exam in May, which is supposedly an easier test comparatively to other AP tests. We offer this other, so this is computer science advanced placement. We offer a principles of computer science. This also gives you the AP Science Principles exam. This is the different one. This one is the code.org. This is the easier. This course lasts our kids, it's an entire semester with a 2-day lab block, like 2 days and the next semester. This one is just a half-year course, so this one's a little bit easier. I don't know where my students are gonna fall on this. Just because I do have some that could take this, I just don't think their schedules will allow it as a freshman, because you just have like a set of classes in biologies and things you have to take. We offer data structures and algorithms as a computer science advanced placement course as well. This is also taught by the gentleman that teaches the first course. It's one of our math teachers. The second one is taught by our business teacher. That one you can pretty much pick up and just start teaching. It's the code.org. You can go there. The other 2 courses, the man is brilliant. He is just a coder. It's a love of his. We also, if you have a TSA program, we also offer it as a class. It's kind of like a club that's a class. And this is taught by one of our tech ed teachers. We do get a lot of students that are very, very interested. It's not just coding, but we do have the TSA. Then we have advanced TSA technologies, levels 2, 3, and 4 as well. We have robotic engineering as well, and that's also taught by the same gentleman that does the 2 TSAs, who's actually retiring, so probably fill that position. And then robotic engineering again. And that is that. That is it. I'll be here, but I don't want to keep you for lunch. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy your rest of the time at PBC. Thank you. Here, so